The multiplayer experience on F1 at 2019 is a massive step up from previous Codemasters titles, and it has the potential to be one of the best the racing genre has ever seen. The new multiplayer car allows players to customise their own liveries. You can now choose your own gloves, race suit and personal badge for the first time, and there are more helmets to choose from than ever before. Personally, I am so glad that after nearly 10 years, online is finally being given the attention it deserves, and I am going to make it my aim to explore it as much as possible. So welcome guys to the F1 2019 Road to Pro, where I, Joe Wilkes, an incredibly average driver, am going to try and work my way to the top of the online ladder. So the aim of this series is to complete everything, as Jay Cartwright would say, and to do that we'll need to win a race at every single track on the calendar, unlock all of the new liveries, and reach the very top of the online ranking. What's up guys, and welcome to my first F1 2019 video. It's been a few days, but we are here for the F1 2019 Road to Pro, and that is what our license is looking like at the moment. We haven't done an online race as of yet, and the goal for this series is to get to rank 50 or level 50. We're currently level 1, and get to the best the best skill rating, which I assume is gold or platinum or whatever it was in the last game, and the safety rating to get that to S, which would be super license, I believe. We'll find out a lot of things in this series, but yeah, hopefully we can improve on that. And in terms of the car that we're going to be using for this first episode, it's a black and gold livery, because I, like everybody, is a massive fan of rich energy. Definitely no sarcasm intended there, but no, in all seriousness, I just thought, nice livery, fits in with my logo, but I will be changing it over the course of the next few episodes. So let me know, guys, down in the comments, any livery colours that you want me to run, and I'll see what I can do. So here we go then, the first race of this series at the Bahrain International Circuit, and funnily enough, this was the first lap that I'd done on the game, full stop. So I was going in towards turn 1, having no idea where to brake, hence why I've got the racing line on, just to sort of get myself used to the game. And we were very much wriggling about in the first section of track. As you can expect, I haven't really got my wheel calibrated properly. I've no idea what I'm doing. Probably should have done some time trial laps first, but nice little line there into turn 4 and towards the end of the first sector. And to be honest, it was a relatively clean lap. So we're coming now to the final braking zone, missing the apex slightly and running it a little bit out wide. And boy oh boy are the curbs deadly on this game. It wasn't a bad lap up until then, but yeah, that was probably the most embarrassing part of this video, to be honest. Our first crash, and it was on our very first lap. But to be expected, it has to be said. And you can see we actually managed to start 4th in the race, because 2 drivers evidently cut the corner and got penalties. So going to the 5 red lights then for our first race on F1 at 2019. We're held for a long time, but away we go. Again, no idea what the best RPM is to go off the line, but it's definitely not what I use, because we were very slow off the mark. Already down into P5 before we get to turn 1, which is carnage as expected. One car cutting across the track and he gets absolutely punted. And that brings us up into P4. We've got Private Rajam, who's looking to make a move on us behind, but we just about hold P4 for the meantime. The man in P2 looks to have run a little bit wide. I'm trying to explain what's going on, but of course I can't really say cars because the multiplayer car isn't an actual car. So for example, the car ahead, I can't just say, oh, that's a Toro Rosso, because I'd be lying. It's not any F1 car. So I'll try and use colours, maybe. I can't really see what colour it is. Maybe it's red. There's 2 cars battling up ahead, both of which are red. And the Ferrari wannabe has just punted into the side of us and pretty much hampered our run down to turn 1. So we've been overtaken by Rene in the blue car, who's lagging all over the place for the moment. And they're side-by-side for P2 into the first corner. And oh my god, we've had our first big crash of the race. But don't mind if I do, because that brings us up into P3. And then I was trying to look behind, and I ended up cycling through the cameras by accident. So we got overtaken by Mr. Trafalgaro. Sounds Spanish, we'll say Spanish man. Spanish man overtook us. And as we go through the middle sector now, he gets caught up on the curbs. Been there, done that, mate. Know exactly how you feel. But that does promote us up into P3 in our first race. It's not going to be quite victory, I don't think, today, because the guy in P1 is absolutely storming away. But it looks like we are going to at least be able to battle for a podium position. We've got Private Rajam in the car behind us, who's got the DRS and has got ahead of us into turn 1 in the Manor looking car. It looks a little bit like the 2016 Manor, the car livery that he's running. So we're currently down into P4, but of course this new DRS zone on the run to turn 4 has really done us well there, and it's like Hamilton and Rosberg battling from back in 2014. Myself and Private Rajam side by side as we go into the middle sector. He runs a little bit wide, but he's going to have the inside for the next corner, and as we go into the heavy braking zone, Rajam is once again going to have the inside line, and tried to slingshot back at him, which didn't quite work. And we've actually got Sensei behind us in P5, so yeah, that could be a little bit interesting because he was the pole sitter and he's currently got the fastest lap. So wouldn't be surprised if we get overtaken by him before the end of the race. But once again, we are on the DRS, on the run down now to turn 10. We're going to ride it over the curbs because, well, it's been a brilliant battle so far. And fortunately, that Private Rajam who's ahead of us has shown us a lot of respect. So I'll do exactly the same to him and hopefully we can have a battle right to the flag. My problem at the moment is, of course, this is my first race, so I'm sort of trying to find my limits. And I was really having problems with locking up, which you'll probably be able to see throughout this race. The braking is a hell of a lot different, I've been finding, to the 2018 game. So we're going to follow this battle pretty much right to the end now, and we get the DRS on the run to turn 1. Sensei has set the fastest lap of the race, and Rajam moves over a little bit late. We didn't quite anticipate that, but fortunately there was no proper collision between the two of us, although we do get a warning for it. We make our way back up into P3. I think Rajam has tried to get a good run off turn 3 and towards turn 4. So he's going to be on our inside. And now Sensei is going for the move. They've both got the same livery, which makes things incredibly complicated. And Sensei gets past both of us. And he goes into P3. We're now battling for a miserly P4 in this race. And it looks again like Rajam has got ahead of us. We think about the dive down the inside. But of course we've still got one DRS zone to go before we get to the flag. But unfortunately, we couldn't take advantage of that, and we were almost running out of fuel as well. So you can see, don't get a great run out of the final corner, which sort of summons us down to P5. But Sensei had a penalty, which means that we did get up into P4. And if we could have beaten Private Rajam, well, it would have been a podium in our first race, which would have been incredibly good. But we go penalty free. Wasn't the greatest of fastest lap, but hopefully we can take the positives through to race 2, which is the Australian Grand Prix, and my first experience with wet weather on this game. So we managed to qualify in P4 out of 9, and as you can see off the start, we're going low ERS deployment to try and get as little wheel spin as possible. And I can see absolutely nothing as we go into turn 1, just trying to keep it clean. We've got, again, that Manor looking car. It's someone else, but it is a default livery, I think, who is ahead of us. And we managed to make it through unscathed through the first couple of corners, and on the run down to turn 3, getting heavy on the brakes. And literally nothing happened during this race. I stayed in P4 for the entire race. There was nobody to battle, so we'll move swiftly on to race 3. We've got 6 races in this episode. Think of it as me finding my feet in F1 2019. But for the first time, we've got a race where we're starting on the front row of the grid. We've got 12 people now in this lobby, and hopefully we can take our first podium. So it's lights out and away we go here at the Circuit of the Americas. And of course it's a long run to turn 1, but quite a heavy braking zone uphill, and we just didn't brake late enough really. And now we've got the Alain Prost livery with an Ayrton Senna helmet. So we've got Ayrton Prost to the right of us, and he is swerving all over the place. He's gone off the track through the S's. We're trying to stay as far away from him as possible so that we don't collect him, and that just wouldn't be a good way to to spend this first episode. Currently, we haven't really got involved in any big incidents, which is a miracle. I haven't actually cut anything out of this either. No races have been cut. We've just had some nice, clean racing so far as Aeterno Prost just goes through on the guy that was in P2. He's now down to P4 because we've passed him as well, and we're trying to get the slipstream on Mr. Poopsicles. I can't take that guy seriously. I really can't. As he's been absolutely dived down the inside by Try SNY, and they're just having an absolute ding dong. And we've been battered from behind, but that's actually done us good because we're up into P2 now. And the man in P1, who is Prince, is quite a way ahead, and that pretty much stayed the same up until the start of lap 2, which is when we got passed for second place by Annoying Moose. So yeah, we just couldn't keep P2 for too long in this race. But fortunately, we did manage to hold P3, and it was a little bit like a normal 2019 season race where there weren't really many overtakes to the end of the Grand Prix. And we held position just like in Australia. But P3 meant our first podium of this game, and it got us up, of course, on the cutscene. We're looking pretty happy there in P3. Let me know, guys, down in the comments. Do you want to see me change my avatar to something strange which distinguishes me from everyone else? Because I find currently that everybody just uses pretty much the same game faces, and I can't really distinguish myself on the podium. It's either that, or I use a really out there driver suit that no one else will use. So I'll have to have a think about that. But with that being our third race, we finally got placed into the silver rank, which is okay. And B ranking for safety, which is probably about right. But yeah, that's a little bit more of an in-depth look in the stats. Let me know, guys, what if you've been playing online so far, let me know what sort of rank you are. Whether silver's good, bad, or not. Whether 38% safety rating is good. I'm going to say no on that one. But yeah, still, P3 in that race. We're terribly slow compared to the other drivers, but not too fast either. So that takes us to the halfway stage in this episode and to the start of race 4. So lights out and away we go here in Bahrain for the second time this episode. We've got another Ayrton Senna wannabe, this time a Senna livery, who is in P2, and the carnage at turn 1 has commenced as expected. We're off the track, just trying to avoid everything, and we may have qualified in P3, but we were down in 7th and then back up to 5th, which just about sums up the day 1 lobby carnage. Then two drivers just fancied going for some synchronised spinning, which brought us up into P3 before too long, and we held that to the flag for, once again, a pretty boring race, so I didn't really bother showing anything else in that race. Thought it would have been meaningless, but still, another podium, which is good, which brought our rank up, and our safety rating up to a whole 48%, which I don't know whether it's good, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Still though, P3, and we were a second and a half quicker on our fastest lap compared to the last time we did Bahrain. So I see that as big progress in just 4 races. Race 5, we moved to Interlagos, and this is one which I don't want to dwell on for too long. We cut straight to lap 4, where we sat in P3, and Ayrton Senna just absolutely yeets us into the wall. And that was all she wrote, pretty much. We tried to floor it on the grass, which was never really a good idea, which sends us spinning. And I'd rather not show the rest of the race, if I'm being honest. I don't know why I haven't cut away from this earlier, because this is just embarrassing, watching me spin and fail to stay in a straight line. And yeah, rather unsurprisingly, we ended that Brazilian Grand Prix in 9th place. And then before the final race of this episode, we decided to change up the livery a little bit. I thought black was a little bit bland, so we went for a silver and gold livery with a little bit of black. Let me know, guys, whether you like that livery or not. If you do, I'll run it for the next episode. If not, then I'll change it up. I'll try to change the livery up as much as possible, because yeah, it's just a bit of fun, really. So going into the final race, the Hungarian Grand Prix, we missed qualifying actually in this race, which left us down quite low in the order in P7. But we had a free grid space ahead of us, and now running down to turn 1. Hungary is always good fun. It's a hairpin for the first corner, so people are going to think that they're a hero going into the first corner, and that is exactly what happened here. And that meant that we didn't make up any positions, but fortunately, we didn't lose any, and we still kept touch with the pack ahead. So we're still in P7 now as we go through turn 2. Somebody already off the track as we go through turn 3. And now up the hill to the blind crest of turn 4. So up into P6 already, taking a lovely line through there. And there's quite a big pack of cars ahead. P1 is streaking away. But apart from that, everybody looks pretty close together. And we have carnage. Somebody is off the track. We're up to P5. And then we go round the outside of someone at the chicane of Daniel. And that was a lovely move. Definitely the best move that I've made so far and in this episode. And then we've got 2 slow-moving cars up ahead. By the looks of it, the one leading has taken off his front wing, and so has the man in P3 as well. So we've got 2 front wingless cars. We go ahead of one of them into P3, and we're now going to go side by side in this final sector. And they call Hungary Monaco without the walls. Well, I have just proven that you can overtake around this Hungaro ring, and I have gone from 7th up to 2nd in the matter of half a lap. So Ewans, who is in P1, is quite a way ahead. We'll take a look exactly how much. It's 8.2 seconds, which in F1, it's quite a lot and quite difficult to close within just 5 laps. But I think we put up a pretty good fight. You can see we held P2 for the rest of the race, and actually got within 2.5 seconds of P1. So we'll call that a success. And within these 6 races, I feel like I've got a good grasp on this game. So the final ranking that we've ended up with at the end of this race is silver 1,459. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but it gives us something to work with. We're on 58% safety rating, so we're not as terrible as we were. And we are now on to 1,400 competition points, which we can spend on liveries, helmets, and all that lot. So P2, pretty happy with that. Our fastest lap wasn't brilliant, but still a pretty consistent race. And that has left us in the situation that you can see on screen now. So advancing up the ranks, we are on to level 5 now. Still got an A for attendance rating because I don't believe I've rage quit yet, which is good. I'm sure that will change in the future. But yeah, a B safety ranking, which is alright, and a silver skill rating. So hopefully we can work on those in future episodes. And as we take a look at the track-by-track results to end this episode, you can see we've done 5 different tracks, and we've got podiums at 3 of them. So Bahrain, Hungary, and the USA, we've managed to bag podium finishes. Still no victories. That will have to wait until at least next episode. But if you have enjoyed this first episode of the Road to Pro, do make sure to leave a like down below, guys, and let me know what I can do better for the future. This was sort of a pilot tester episode, I guess you could say. Test the waters, see whether you guys enjoy it, and hopefully we can do alright in the future. But until next time, guys, do take care. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.